All right, we should be good. Hopefully you guys can hear us, right?
May I start? Welcome to the Mendon Water Commission meeting for Thursday, February 5th, 2026. In accordance with legislation passed under former Governor Baker and current Governor Healy, this is a hybrid meeting, both in person and online, and this meeting is being recorded. Present in the meeting room are
Commissioner Vincent Roy.
Commissioner Kevin Rudden, and our more than able clerk, the Empire. Commissioner Alan Kent is not here, and I'd just like to start the meeting. Commissioner Kent suffered the loss of his longtime wife recently, and I'd just like to do a quick moment of silence in her memory. I think after all the service Alan Kent has given this commission, it's only fair that we honor Pat, his wife, with just a quick moment of silence. Okay, that said, and also we offer our, I'm sure Mr. Roy joins me in offering our heartfelt condolences to Mr. Kent and his family. I know it was a terrible loss for him personally.
Yeah, she had suffered for a while.
Okay. Because we have some outside guests here, I'd like to alter the order of agenda so that we go right to the water study update from the Woodward and Current folks. And that way, Dan and Scott, you don't have to listen to the minutia of our normal monthly meeting. So for either one of you, the reason why we asked you to be here, we just weren't sure where we stood on the project and the grant status. We hope you guys can give us an update.
Yeah, nice to see you all again. Yeah, so sorry?
I like your wintry background.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I have to change it with the seasons because it's just, I can't look at a green background and then out my window and see snow. So yeah, sync them up.
It's our meeting room.
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
No, that's all right. So yeah, so we've been making some good progress. We did put together some slides just to kind of guide the conversation tonight and give you an update, talk about what we've been up to, what's kind of next, talk about some of the things we're still working through with Dylan and her team and Jeremy, and then just kind of go through what questions you might have, and again, yeah, things are moving along well, so we can jump to that unless there's anything you all want to start with.
No, we just, we lost track of where things are. I know there was a grant applied for. I saw in my Mass Municipal notes, some people got grants. I know that. I don't know if that's what you applied for. So we just kind of want to get caught up on where things are.
Yep. So yeah, and that'll be part of it. We can talk about that. Yes.
Okay.
All right. So we'll, do we have permission to share our screen? Dan, do you know?
Yeah, you should be able to.
Okay.
Since changed something.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Surprise me.
Yeah. No, well, sometimes on our end, when we start a meeting or we send the meeting, we have to say make presenter. But I don't know, Dan Scott, if you can see if you have the share.
You should be able to.
I'm still working on trying to get the PowerPoint going.
Are we in Teams? Yeah, there is a share button in the upper right of Teams, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I know we have no securities here, so let me.
Yeah, I actually see it on my end.
Grant
Yeah.
commissions, just on Zoom.
Yeah,
I know
I'm more familiar with Zoom than Teams.
Yeah.
Oh, they've changed stuff recently, but who can present to everyone?
Dan, are you sharing it or you're
Not quite yet. It made my Outlook crash when I went to make the slides come up.
Technology.
Yeah.
Right.
If it makes you feel any better, I had to roll over from one fiscal year to another in my software today. In rolling over, it popped up 235 errors. I spent the entire day correcting them. Then the procedure is you roll over again. And after correcting all the errors, rolling over again caused them to come up, and I have to start tomorrow by fixing them again.
Nice. That sounds about right. Yeah, that sounds about how it goes. Uh, I thought you might say you had 2 errors the first time and you fixed them all, and then you did it and it had three. So,
No, 235.
oh, 235. Oh, I thought you said 2 out of
This is
35.
having, no,
Jeez.
I know
Oh my
exactly what
gosh.
they are now, and I could go fix them probably in half the time.
Oh, geez. Yeah, that's a lot. That is definitely a
And
lot.
then support finally came through and told me how to avoid that from happening again.
Jeez.
Should be good momentarily.
All right.
This over here.
We haven't been doing much field work since the summer, or since I guess last fall and in springtime, really clean up. So it's been mostly desktop work. That's probably why you haven't really seen or heard much, but we'll go through that.
But we were in a good place last fall.
We
So,
were, yeah, that's right.
I'm gonna be, yeah, I know there hasn't, we're kind of at a dead end as far as our standstill with the field work.
Oh, here we go.
But it's probably not much of an update with DEP either, but anything like that.
Well, let him go through.
Oh, go ahead, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Now that we got it, we'll be able to cover a number of those things hopefully. And then again, stop us if you have questions at any point. You know, this isn't that we present and hold questions, right? We can just talk about these things as they come up. So.
Okay.
All right, so yeah, the main topics we're gonna just formally go over tonight, but as Scott said, this will be an open discussion and really whatever you guys want to make of it to make sure you're getting the information you'd like to hear tonight. But we're gonna just go over our general progress since the last time we came before you, which the components of that include we pulled together a prolonged pump test report. So I'll talk through that. We've worked on preliminary design in depth to date. We've also done some business planning items, and that task feeds into the most important one of all is the draft source final report, which will be critical to be able to proceed with the whole project through construction. So the prolonged pump test report, we've completed that and submitted that to the town at the end of last summer.
We remember that.
I'm sorry?
That's about the last thing I remember being updated on.
Yes, we finished the prolonged pump test report and shortly came before you and gave you some high level results. And then the next step was formalizing it into a report, which will be included in the source final report. So the preliminary design's ongoing. We're hoping to wrap that up next month. Hydraulic modeling is substantially complete. We've gone through the scenarios of different phasing and configuration of the proposed water distribution system. So unless any changes happen, it's all set up and ready for the progression of this whole project. It's always a living model that we use throughout the life of the project. We've also had ongoing business planning exercises going on, and we're working through the source final report and also going through some zone 1 control exercises, working on that as well, because that's critical to be able to have the proposed site become a water supply. So our prolonged pump test report, it provided a hydraulic background just to give the reader a review of the existing hydraulics in the area. And then it gave an analysis of the test we performed in detail. And it really just provides all the technical details necessary for them to understand that there's enough water and that it's good quality for drinking water. So that it was a lot of work, and it's going to be a big integral part for the final source report. Preliminary design.
Yeah, Dan, can I just stop you there? I just got a couple of questions on the prolonged Well, so I can't remember the capacity of the well, the specific capacity of the well. You get that data in front of you or?
Don't have it right in front of me, but I could pull it up at the end of this presentation.
That's fine, okay.
What I remember was it was sufficient for our needs and the quality was damn good.
Right, and that was another question about water quality. I think you guys tested for PFAS, there were slight traces of PFAS.
Not on the
no, they're
prolonged
not.
pumping test. There was no traces of it.
Non-detectable,
No.
all right. What about iron and manganese? Anything that's gonna require treatment?
Yes, for manganese, yeah.
Manganese, above the MCL?
I believe so.
Okay, so then we're looking at green sand filtration or something like that. Okay.
Yeah, that's our design basis at the moment. We're looking at other technologies just to verify that is the best approach.
How about, did we mention TOC?
I don't think we got any TOCs.
Okay. Reason why I asked that, it's something that I'm dealing with right now. We've got one treatment plant where the TOC is above 2 milligrams per liter, and it's been giving us problems with both the carbon filtration that we do for PFAS, but as well as the green sand too. It's been coming up the green sand plus, so just thoughts on maybe some other types of treatment that we may do on the road. I know it's way preliminary, but anyways, I'm sorry about that.
Go ahead.
So our preliminary design report is just going to lay the pathway for our design intent, review the well site design. So the wells, the treatment building, a detention pond for stormwater runoff, all the utilities coming in, and the access road itself from Providence Road. Then we're also going to lay out the water distribution system and show the phasing of that, along with the storage as well. The site is still remains up by Route 16, where we've been discussing it over the past couple of years. We looked at a few different sites and looked at like what the pressure impacts are, and that still seemed like the best location for the entirety of the system that we have proposed. We had provided a summary of the hydraulic model and how it was built out, so everyone can be able to see all our assumptions and how that was compiled. We're going to provide a summary of the updated probable construction capital costs and the O&M costs as well, and then a permitting summary for state, federal, and local. And then we've developed some preliminary design drawings of the site itself, so everyone can kind of envision what it's going to look like. The challenging part of the site is since it's so close to the river, we're pretty close to the flood zone, so we're really having to pinch the site back towards the back of the lot and grading accordingly to make sure we're staying out of the flood zone, the 100-year flood zone.
And so that site is big enough for both, not just the well, but obviously a building for treatment.
Yep. And we also have a separate area. We're going to reserve some space for a PFAS treatment building, just to make sure that we have the foresight to make sure that there's, or just any other future treatment technologies that may be needed. There was enough space on the site that we're reserving some space for that, just so we don't constrain ourselves with too small of a building, because these emerging contaminants are always potential.
Right. Whether it be PFAS or something that's next, right?
Yep.
And so I pulled up the pumping test report from July of last year just to take a look. The approvable yield was 438 gallons per minute, Finn. So pretty substantial. And like Dan said, no PFAS or VOCs detected in the groundwater. Surface water from the neighboring stream there no detection of VOCs, but PFAS were detected in the surface water. So
Okay.
again, there's potential if there's drawdown, maybe that gets pulled in, or over time, PFAS is pretty much everywhere at this point. So, but
Scott, how deep is the well?
they're not very deep, right, Dan? These are shallow. These are like 60 feet or so.
Yeah, my recollection was something in the 50 to 60 foot range.
Yeah, they're not bedrock, and that's where some of the neighboring community members, had concerns. Hey, are you going to take from my aquifer? But we're in different aquifers, so.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
What is the specific capacity of the well? Do you know that?
I mean, just looking at this, the approvable yield based on obtained during pumping test was calculated to be approximately 500 gallons per minute. However, this yield exceeded the modeled 7Q10 flow for the Mill River. So
Yeah.
approvable yield is defaulted to 438 gallons per minute. Yeah, 630,000 gallons per day, which is
Okay.
plenty.
Did you say
Yeah.
38 gallons a minute per foot on the drawdown?
I don't have that number.
Have that, okay. That's all right.
No, just gallons per day, or gallons per, overall
Okay.
gallons per minute.
Okay. All right. All right, yeah, I'm good. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
No worries.
No worries. We like to try to answer your questions and get you up to speed with everything. But yeah, as we said before, the flowing pump test went quite well, and but as good as anyone would have expected. So
yeah.
And now it's good to be developing, like, it's been great to lay out the whole site and kind of see how everything kind of comes together.
Yeah. Okay, I have one more question for you on the treatment building. So obviously, if we're gonna have filtration in, we're gonna backwash, what are we gonna do with the backwash? They're gonna have some filter drying beds, some lagoons or something like that. And again, is that been factored in on this site?
Not sure about that aspect. Greg's been the one really driving the building.
Right, okay.
So I'd have to talk to Greg about that.
Yeah, I know this is all preliminary stuff, but these are things that are gonna come out later.
Well, yeah, these types of questions are good because it's always, at the beginning of a project, we just need to be thinking about the big picture and some of the more specific things to make sure
Correct, yeah.
we're staying on track, not missing anything.
Okay. All right, I'm good. Okay, go ahead, Dan.
This is just a phasing map. We've not anything you haven't seen before, but the way we have it drawn up now is phase 1 coming up Providence Road, heading northwest and extending southwest and northeast, and then phase 2 connecting in the Cape Road system, and then phase 3 going down this way on Upridge Road, and then the final phase going up North Ave.
Okay. This committee's viewpoint was always, we want connecting to Cape Road to be phase 1.
Yep.
The sooner we can get off of Hopedale's outrageous charges, the better.
Yeah, it's like this amount of pipe really isn't, this phasing was just drawn up based on our, initial conversations and what we've talked about, but
yeah, that was what
this is not a long run of pipe that it would really prohibit necessarily getting Cape Road off. Like we could phase it differently. There's definitely some fire flow aspects of this that we could iron out.
Yeah.
If we're able to maintain an interconnect with Hopedale and use that for fire flow potential, then this
Well,
leg up to the water
yeah.
tank becomes less critical.
It was the select board that wanted to run it up to 16 first. We're the guys dealing with it every day. We want to get out of Hopedale as soon as we can because their costs are killing our customers. So,
Yeah.
Just so you recognize that, or make that part of phase one. But it's a priority for us. To get off of Hopedale, hookups.
I have one concern with that, though.
Well,
You gotta have a water tank in order to maintain pressure and allow fluctuations in water demand.
okay, I'm open to discussion.
Yeah.
I'm just going, but that is,
Unless these guys have an alternative.
yeah, but, one, our contract with Hopedale calls to get off ASAP when we find something else.
Right.
And two, the prices they're charging us make us the highest cost water system in the state.
Oh,
Mhm.
yeah.
And so just as long as you keep that in mind, it depends on where this thing goes in terms of grants and funding.
Yeah.
But I also, quite honestly, I'm looking at what happens if the town doesn't have the funds and can't get them to build this out, and we have water to sell, what do we do with it? And that's something I want to keep in the back of my head, that, if you look at the appetite of the public to spend money right now, and you look at what's getting approved and not approved without grant funds, most things are going down in flames, except schools.
Mhm.
So, in the back of my head, it's, where do we go if 10 years from now we have an approved site and decide not to build out the system?
And I think that was the conversation you and I had, and I had said Dan, that's basically what I sent you, is some
Yeah.
ideas of, gee, is it as an alternative, is it possible to just do Cape Road and then potentially sell this excess to another town versus building it ourselves, and, is that viable?
Yeah, that's just the long-term thought. I don't want you to change what you're doing, but we have to put in the back of our heads, what if?
Yep.
I will tell you, the town I work in, Holliston, just got $1.5 million from the federal government this week to build out a sewer. So it looks like the current administration is releasing funding for public works projects, which I thought had been killed. So there may be grant possibilities at the federal level for this. I don't know.
I'm just gonna say, Kev, and these guys will know, it's a little
Yeah.
complicated to sell water over to Hopedale. Because then you're blending our water with their water, and maybe, the treatments have gotta be there's a lot of other things that need to be kind of worked.
All right, that I don't know, but I was thinking long-term. Anyway, go ahead, Dan, I'm sorry.
Yeah, I really appreciated Dan reaching out and talking to us about that, because at this stage in the project, everything's pretty fluid. So it's a good opportunity to continue to think about the phasing. This is very challenging financially to kind of analyze. There's a lot of downstream effects of doing it one way versus another when you're talking about potential grants and partnerships with private developers.
What I keep in the back of my head is, if all these people along Route have wells, and, we're asking them to pay betterment fees to pay a part of this, a lot of them may turn it down, saying, I've already got a well. I don't need this. And that's just in the back of my head as a tax assessor, which is what I do for a living. We're the guys who administer the betterments. So I've done this in other towns, and we don't know what the costs are, so we have to wait to see what all this is. But in the back of my head, it's, why would I do this if I already have a well? Why would I want to approve this?
Mm-hmm.
If we have to tax people for this or charge them, in the back of my head is always, okay, how do you motivate somebody who's got a working well to sign up for a 20-year betterment fee?
Yeah, and
So,
I think Dan can probably elaborate. The business models, financial models we've been looking at have not been relying on betterments. We've been trying to model it in a way that it's really built off of commercial and industrial growth potential, right? With economic development on 16 or 140. and existing customers or potential developments of mixed use potentially in town. So we are trying to be aware of the sentiment of the town that, people are happy with their water. Maybe there's a connection fee if people want to connect, but we haven't been considering betterments, right? So, yeah.
Yeah.
And again, things are, to Dan's point, evolving and almost every scenario needs to be considered, right? But that's
I
what
should have let
is
you
being
get to
thought
that
through.
point in the discussion. I'm sorry.
No, it's good. It's good.
Okay, go ahead, Dan.
Yeah, that was a point we were expecting to be brought up based on Dan reaching out to us, and we didn't really formally prepare anything, but we definitely put some thought into it. There's potential for maybe doing some trenchless pipe install to take a short route over there, and then it would, to Vin's point, just figuring out any pressure or water demand, peak demand type things, storage issues. So that would be the other thing. But yeah, that definitely, getting it to customers that already exist is huge, because you just know, unless they disconnect, you have a customer and you can count on that revenue, opposed to trying to project tie-ins is tricky. Like you said, people are already on wells, and then trying to project development is tough too, because it's like, until they really see the pipe coming close to them, how much willingness do they have to push forward with the development
To be
without the
candid,
water?
we are starting to get commercial growth on the part of Route 16 heading to Uxbridge, and we continue to get it on the Cape Road Route 140 area. So, I mean, we're getting more than we got in the last 20 years, let me put it that way. People are starting to see, the population's moving this way, and people are interested in the land, and they're starting to build things. We've got, I know, 2 buildings going up right now on Route 16 headed to Uxbridge. They're both warehouse or, the metal industrial type buildings. And we've got 2 buildings, well, one definitely going up on 140, and one, they can't make up their mind what they want to build, but another one looming on Route 140. So
It's exciting.
yeah, we're finally getting some commercial industrial growth in town, which we need.
Yeah, and if there's developers, again, we've talked to one, we've communicated with a number of others. And if there's others, of that are consistently looking at, opportunities, you can share those with Dylan, and we could try to talk with them, right, about,
Well, I could tell you those, you'll have to get off the committee when I do this. I live on Route 140, and I'm actively, as I get ready to retire, I'm actively marketing my 3 acres for commercial use.
Okay.
And, I have a residential hookup that will go away under the contract with Hopedale. But I mean, I have been meeting with commercial real estate agents, and they are, without publishing it, they are actively talking to people saying, this is coming up at the end of 27, early 28.
Okay.
So, that's going to get developed, because that's my nest egg when I retire. So,
All
and by the way, I've got the biggest single site left open. Well, not the biggest, but not built on. So anyway, let's keep going.
Maybe it'll be a brewery that's a high water user, right? So we'll see.
So I have a slide here just showing what I spoke to earlier about some of the layout of the site. So access road here, this is coming out from Providence Road. There's obviously some additional access road that's not shown on here, but just to fit it on the slide, I cut it off. It went across a couple of sheets. So this is the line of the town's parcel. So this is all town land here. This is their access easement through here, or their utility easement. And then the well site is down here. This is where we conducted our test and where we plan to put in the wells. And then the iron and manganese treatment building is here. And then that future building we have cited here for potential use. The utilities are all located along the center line of the road. And then this is the stormwater detention pond I mentioned. So Ben, I did misspeak earlier. The iron too there's treatment for iron as well, not just manganese.
Yeah, that's the one thing Mendon's water is known for, and that's what town is, iron and manganese. You
Which
can't
is,
get away
which is common, yeah.
It's pretty much like that throughout the state.
Can I ask a question about this? Would this site also include like potential for minimal offices or have like septic that some, you know, or is this just a physical plant and that's it?
Yeah, I think there's we have a septic shown here.
Okay, yeah, so it's tiny, okay.
Yep.
Just thinking, if this were to come to fruition, this would then probably become the offices of the water department.
Right.
Yeah.
So, and I know you guys are aware of this, that what the new building code requires a bathroom facility in this building.
Yeah.
So we'd have to do one of two things, either a tight tank.
Well, the way this town works, I think there would need to be somewhere that there's garage space for equipment. It's like, or is that merged with the highway? I don't know, but.
Oh, I don't know if enough. Yeah, don't forget, there's gonna be zone 1 too.
Or if that has to be its own
Well,
location.
So you got restrictions on what you can have there for equipment.
Yeah, so I mean,
Yeah.
okay. Go ahead, Dan.
So yeah, we've laid out the site. Well, it's a preliminary layout, and we'll get feedback from everyone, and we can shift things around or make changes, and it'll be a breathing site, living, breathing site plan.
Yeah.
But, you know, based on all of the regulations and just the infrastructure required, this seemed like the most logical layout for a preliminary phase of design. All the pads for all the equipment are going to be here too. I didn't point those out. And then this is all asphalt and will transition to gravel once you get past these settling tanks. Any other questions?
Nope. Nope.
So business planning.
And this is the part I'm interested in.
Yeah, so there's a business plan template Mass DEP provides. We've started to fill that out. A lot of this business planning items, we really can't carry extremely far until we get a little bit further into this and we can really figure out what a water enterprise would look like and how it's going to be staffed and the billing. Yeah. There's just a lot of layers to it, as I'm sure you guys understand. So right now it's the biggest focus is trying to work through the finances of how do we phase this, where do we bring the water, how much funding might we need in order to make this a reality, where are the customers, when are the customers likely to tie in conservatively, and just really trying to come up with realistic and defensible revenue projections and customer counts.
Yeah.
So we've been working with the town. Dan's been very helpful. We pulled together a GIS tool last phase that we've been working on still with the town to try to pin down, customers that would definitely tie in or likely tie in, ones that might tie in, and just try to inform our financial model with some real boots on the ground information from people that live in the town. So that's ongoing. And then, we've been carrying forward the financial model. So this is something we're going to have to work closely with the town and the Water Commission on, just really figuring out how we work together to come up with a business plan that's going to be successful and be realistic. But as we work through this project, you'll see at the end, a lot of these activities are going to continue because we have to have all the business planning complete, and we have to go all the way to the finish line through design before we can submit the final source report to get approved, and we can move forward with actually going into construction. So this is a multi-year thing, and it's going to just take a lot of hard work and thought to get there. But
Yeah.
the important thing is we have the quantity of water and the quality of water we need, and now we
Yeah.
just need to figure out how financially we can get clean water to the people that want it in town.
Yeah, I think our biggest question is, you know, at how far do you get with the existing grant funds? And then what do you need to go beyond that to get to that point of being able to deliver water? You know, what funding is needed?
Well, I think even before that,
Yeah,
I'd like to see kind of a breakdown on the cost
yeah,
estimates for each phase. So what are we looking at?
yeah,
You know, because then you can kind of plan on, okay, this is what we need for funding, how are we gonna get the funding, right? But right now, and I know you guys have done it, I can't recall what those numbers were for the different phases.
yeah. And I know from looking at potential sewers in the town of Holliston, the town surveyed all the potential users in the area they intended to sewer. And the biggest question came back on would you tie in was, tell us the cost first and then we'll give you an answer.
Right.
And so right now, they have a much smaller group than the lake who said, yeah, no matter what it costs, we'll go. And the rest are waiting to find out what the cost is before they commit.
Yeah,
And so
there's always
they're
an
figuring out what the
analysis.
cost is right now. So, but I'm just, you know, I was thinking in my head, do you survey people along the routes? But the question they're gonna ask is again, what's it gonna cost me?
Yeah, you gotta know that. You gotta know that.
So that's just something in the back of my head is how do you get an accurate count of who might tie in? And the answer is they need to know a cost range before they'll say yes or no.
Well, I think the cost is gonna be too astronomical. I think that the 150 plus customers that we have are gonna pay for this. There's just no
No,
way.
they're not.
They're not. No way.
They're not, but if you go past 200 homes and only 10 want to tie in, we got a problem.
Right, I think, you establish a connection fee for anybody in the future who wants to tie in, but I don't think you're not gonna be able to get an upfront cost from the handful of customers that we have to pay for this.
No, they're not, but.
Numbers are gonna be in the, multi-million-dollar project.
Right, but if you're trying to model how many people might tie in,
Yeah, I get it.
I mean, I have a pretty good idea that Kevin Meehan will tie all his buildings in, and the restaurants on 16 will tie in. Although they're probably all more interested in sewers than water.
Well, that's the whole different.
But at least, you could safely predict that, from the traffic lights to the Hopedale, to the Uxbridge line, you could predict the number of who
Yeah,
would
sure.
be more than likely.
Number of lots.
But going up the residential Providence Road, again,
Yeah.
you might find,
Yeah.
people are going to know what's it gonna cost me.
So Dan, do you have cost estimates, what it's gonna be for the different phases, or not yet?
We're working on updating those right
Okay.
now, so we should have those squared away next month.
Okay,
But yeah, in the preliminary phase of the project, we had some numbers, and we've been running through the model, and it's been challenging to, arrive at an affordable water rate for the customers without substantial grant funding. That was the story we've been telling you for the past year and a half now, is the way we have it under the current phasing and just the current cost of things. It's going to be challenging.
I mean, to me, that's the issue. I mean, without grant funding, we're talking millions of dollars just to run pipe. And people aren't gonna pay for that.
no, that's just the pipe, and then we're gonna do,
Well,
construct the well.
yeah, I know, but I'm just talking, once you get the well and all that permitted,
Yeah.
just to run it up to 16 is millions.
Right, yeah.
And
Right, that's
without
the problem.
without grants, I don't see the town, even if you got a low interest loan from one of the state funds, you're still talking too much money for
Kevin,
people.
my rough cost estimates are gonna be probably over $20 million
Yeah,
for all of this.
yeah, I was trying to be nice by saying millions.
Yeah,
Yeah, I remember when we did a back of the envelope a couple of years ago and just running up North Avenue to the Upton Town line, we were in like the $10 million range.
Yeah.
And that was 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah.
With Mike Amendolia from Methuen giving us a price per foot
Right, yeah.
on water main.
Yeah,
And, you
right
know,
now, just the pipe in the ground's about $300 a foot,
yeah,
you know, more than that.
yeah, so,
And that's just pipe. And then, yeah, you're gonna be talking over 20 after these guys finish this, so.
well,
Anyways, go ahead.
anyway, go ahead, yeah, we're just, yeah, again, if, you know, just run through your study, we'll try not to interrupt you again.
Yeah, sorry
Well,
about
these
that.
are the important conversations to have, because yeah, it's unfortunate the water site is so far away from the areas that are in major need of the water. I think that's the challenging part, is you have to go thousands of feet before you get to the customers that are in most need. So last but not least, the draft source final report, that's ongoing as well. So as I mentioned earlier, the blown pump test analysis is going to be at the forefront of that report and be a critical part. And then there's just going to be some other sections just explaining the zone 2 delineation, a plan for groundwater monitoring, wellhead protection, non-zoning and zoning controls, a capacity plan, an environmental notification form, a groundwater withdrawal permit, and then the water supply business plan also is part of that. I just broke it out as a separate discussion point since it's so critical. So that this is the living, breathing document we'll be working on over the next phases of work as we march towards trying to get through the planning and design phase of this project.
And you still have funding to go that far, correct?
We have funding we're planning on using over, the first half of this year. And then we're going to be working on submitting another application for the next round of grant funding with the one-stop program.
Okay. Yeah, there are some, I think, when that's submitted, there are, beyond the selectman / town administrator, there are some other forces that can be brought to bear on that application that we probably haven't done in the past. So, because we're not aware, we half the time we weren't aware what's being submitted. So,
Dan, can you just give us an update on where we are with DEP? So we submitted the application for new source approval, and I know it's a lengthy process, but any feedback, any response from DEP since
So
we submit?
We're going to submit this draft. The idea is to submit this draft source final report in the middle of this year.
Okay.
And they'll read through the prolonged pump test analysis report, and then like all these other pieces, and give us feedback. And like we'll attach like our preliminary design report, just get their feedback on where we're at, and then continue to move this forward.
Okay.
That's kind of the cadence of this, is just as you have funding, keep working towards the ultimate goal of having this report finalized in a final design. But yeah, as we get further into design, the planning phase, the funding we've gotten from the grant program's been great. But we'll definitely need to make sure we're turning over every rock for funding, because the final design costs do get expensive once you're trying to design these treatment facilities and miles of design sheets for pipelines.
yeah, I mean, my biggest concern is, we've done really great on grant funding to date. You guys have taken us a quantum leap from the three of us on the committee trying to figure out in our heads where to go when we had no planner or grant money or selectmen interest behind this. Quite honestly, let's recognize they applied for the initial grants and got them. My concern is, do we reach a point in time where we're, January 1, 2027, and we have no more money and no place to go, we don't want the momentum to stop. So we want to know ahead of time when we're reaching that point, so we know what to do. And there may be time when we need to go to town funding on this. And there are lots of things to do. I mean, I could send a letter to the state insurance commissioner saying, what's the average cost savings for somebody on home insurance if they're within 200 feet of 1,000 feet of a hydrant versus what we have now in Mendon. I know when I bought my house, the first thing insurance agent did said, oh, you got to pay a premium because you live in Mendon with no hydrant. And I said, guess again. It's exactly 998 feet from my house. I measured. And I know what I saved on my policy. But I mean, just getting info like that, when you start deciding what it costs people to say, hey, if you support this, you're going to save X dollars a year on your homeowner's insurance policy right off the bat. And that's a lot of stuff we need to remember to do. And so my concern is just, I don't want to pick a date at random in March of 27, and we can't go beyond this point because you've gone as far as we can pay you and there's no more funding. I want to know a couple of months before that, what do we need to do to keep the momentum going?
Agreed.
That's where my brain is.
Yeah.
Yep.
It may not be
Agreed.
who the town administrator is, or Dylan, or the select board, but it's where I am at this is I don't want to see the momentum stop. And if we need to start planning a couple of months in advance to look for funding, and it takes time to do this, then
So
we need to
that's,
start in
yeah,
that
so
time frame.
we've thought about that for sure. And like you said, we have, or the collective the town's been very
Yeah.
successful getting grants to date. And so we did apply last year, like you said, did not get it, but we got very positive feedback because it really was, as you can probably tell and think back, just about every February we were having kind of a recap kickoff call,
Yeah.
phase one closeout, phase two kickoff, and year after year after year. This is the first year we're not necessarily doing that, but we're giving you the update. It was good timing. It was probably just, natural intuition that we should be talking about this in February. And so what it was, the feedback we got from the Rural Development Fund was, hey, we don't know if you're asking before you're ready for it, really. And that was probably true because the Rural Development Fund or all these one-stops are announced in the October-November timeframe, and you can get contracted to start in November, basically. And we were always kind of kicking off in February or even March. So we were kind of getting behind the ball with all the work that was coming through all the funding. So they recognized that. They kind of paused us for 1 year, but gave us really good feedback of come back, apply again next year, and it's, you'll be right on track again. So we do have a high level of confidence that we'll put in for resubmit the Rural Development Fund application this spring and receive it in the fall and be keeping it moving, like you said. And then again, we'll have to keep reassessing, right? We have to keep seeing where things are coming from. At some point, we're very hopeful that we'll talk to a developer or two and find that they want to be partners on this, and then we can apply for a MassWorks or a Housing Works grant. And that could, those, depending on design or construction, there's a maximum of $5 million per round, right? So we are keeping it in mind, and we are making sure that we keep it on the radar. And if the time does come that the state or federal funding isn't coming through anymore, then we have to start to look at, like you said, most importantly, probably start focusing on public outreach and messaging to then go to the public and bring it up, right? So
but from my perspective, it doesn't hurt to let Congressman Auchincloss, we have a joint meeting with him, with the town administrator and our board and the select board, and let him know, hey, on the horizon, we're going to get this far, and we're looking at, federal funding year 27, 28. What can you do for us? And I'll also tell you from my hat as being on the Board of Assessors in this town, I know of a property on 16 heading towards Uxbridge that right now there's a tax title question that we're helping, and the treasurer collector's helping the owner clear up. They want to build on that site. You know, where they are in their schedule is probably 3 or 4 years out when it gets all cleared up. But, you know, maybe we could get them to sign a letter saying we need this to build that site.
Yeah, the only drawback we have is that's on the other side of town from where we're talking about.
Well, we also have the guy right in the corner of Hartford Avenue and Cape Road that keeps hitting roadblocks with his tenants. Well, they don't really understand what they're looking for.
Yeah,
But at least, you know,
but that's a better location than that stuff.
you know, you could put a letter from them in saying, we're trying to develop this site.
Sure.
We've got where the Mila Thayer house was torn down, the planning board's already approved a warehouse building there. That guy's a former town official. You get a letter from him. I mean, there are things we know of that we need to share around. So, you know, if we're looking for a business development package, that's 3 people right now I could think of and say, hey, this would help us build.
I also just wanted to mention, I feel confident so far in our funding in the past and hopefully in the future, but a lot of the things that we've accomplished so far and will accomplish with all these benchmarks, even in the worst case scenario, there is a loss of momentum somewhere. None of these go away, like the groundwater protection district that we put in, or the zone delineation, keeping control of our site, knowing where these wells are and that they're viable sites. I think that's really important because if we ever have, you know, that worst case scenario where we have a lost momentum or we have a short period of time, even if it's just a year of, oh, we have nothing, we need to reassess, you know, we don't have staff or funding, whatever it is, we still have all of this that has been done.
I
I think
agree
it's
with you.
important.
My
Yeah.
concern is people on boards change,
Mhm.
hired administrators change,
Exactly. Yeah.
board members change.
Parties. Yeah.
My fear is we have such momentum right now. If you start having a 2 or 3 year gap, yeah, all this is here,
Right.
but nobody may be interested in carrying it forward.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
I'd like to see it get to the point where we know what it's gonna cost, and then it's a decision of, you know, okay, it's either town funds or grant funds or both. And at least we've got it to that point, as opposed to, you know, there's 6 phases, we got through phase 4, we just gave up.
Yeah.
That's what I don't wanna have happen. And I don't mean it could happen, I'd like
I
to
don't
see
want it to
them.
happen either. I get it. Absolutely.
You know, I've lived
Yeah.
in this town 43 years,
Yeah.
and in the last 3 years, we've come farther than anything in those 43 years. And I just have a feeling that if we don't keep pushing, at least one board keep pushing, other people will forget over time and have different priorities. And oh, we need to do that, and oh, we need to do this, and it'll get lost in the shuffle. That's what I mean about not losing momentum.
I will
Yeah.
say this, though, it seems like the winds that are, the board of selectmen seem like they're 100% on board with this.
But they change.
Yeah, no question about it, but then you've got Dan who's providing the continuity too, and you've got a new planner.
Well, yeah, we got you Dylan as planner, but I mean, I just mentioned this board, I mean,
Yeah,
we have one gentleman who's, I don't wanna guess his age, but he's up there,
yeah,
who's been on forever. I'm in my 70s, I'm not gonna be on the board forever.
no, we're not gonna be here to see this.
Yeah, we're not gonna be here to see this through,
Shovels in the ground.
but I'd like to stay long enough to get it to the point
We can pass the baton.
that we can pass the baton, and the baton is, okay, town, it's up to you to decide yes or no, and we've done all the groundwork.
Right.
Because the worst thing is to hear, well, you know, it's now 2040, and well, back then they tried but gave up. That's just my point, and I know we're not there, but I don't want to ever get there, Dylan. I really want to see this thing.
Yeah.
You know, if we gotta go to phase 5, phase 6, whatever it is to get to that point, I want to make sure we get there.
All right, okay, he's got something about that one.
True. Anyway, we don't want to tie all you guys up, so.
I think what you said is a really good point though, because like not just looking like next, we've been looking year to year to get the funding and it's been sufficient. We're making great progress. But to my point earlier about final design costs, like talking about 2 years out, 3 years out, like that's when the needs are going to escalate a little bit. When you start doing existing condition surveys, geotechnical borings, and then you're doing all those design drawings, like it takes a large budget to complete. So that's a very good point of looking forward years out of funding.
And that's fine if it takes 3 or 4 years to get to the point, just so long as we don't stop. We get to the point where the public makes a decision, is where I want to be. The work is all done. And now it's decide, do I want to sign up for this? If this is what it costs me as a homeowner
Yeah.
or business to sign up, you get to the point where they get a choice. And if they all say no when it goes down, we got it at least to that step.
Yeah, at least we've got design plans and
Yeah.
you can go forward down the road, yeah.
Yeah, anyway, we don't want to tie you guys up. It's nighttime. We could be hypothetical all night, so.
Yeah, right.
Thank you guys for the update. If there's anything you need from us, please contact Dan Byer. And know, we're all in support of this. Vin typically represents us because this is what you do for a living.
Right.
And is run a water system.
Not to get off track, did you guys do the study over in Sudbury for the wastewater? Scott, maybe you would.
We did a comprehensive wastewater management plan, CWMP for them. Yeah.
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 So that was very similar to this right here, but it was on the sewer side.
Yeah.
Sewer, yeah. Yep. Right. A
And-
whole new system, new treatment location.
Round
Yeah.
up, there's no system over there. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and again, like it does not have necessarily the political backing at the moment that Mendon has, right? So like to your point,
Yeah.
this is a really
Yeah.
good scenario
Yeah.
from funding
Yeah.
and support.
All right.
Well, I'll tell you candidly, in Holliston, I was joking with the guy in charge of the potential sewer project. And we're only talking like 3 streets. Because the school system has excess capacity and they want to tie in. And the guy told me in late December, we're waiting on a 1.5 million federal grant. As soon as we get that, we can go ahead. And I was like, yeah, I said to him, you got a chance in hell in this federal administration of getting it. And he called me the other day and said, guess what we're announcing? And I'm now, next Thursday night, I'm at a planning meeting because the betterment fees will come through me. And so I never say never to anything. That surprised the hell out of me. But Dylan and Dan and Scott, thank you for your time in the update. We know it's not time and we appreciate your time. And I just want to say, I want to appreciate the effort all 3 of you have done in this. Like I said,
Yeah, your whole team. Yeah.
it was 3 or 4 or 5 years ago, we had the 3 water commissioners trying to figure this out on the back of envelopes and making phone calls and, trying to buy from other areas. And just it was Selectman Raleigh who kicked it off, I'll give him credit. And, we've gone so much far in the last 3 or 4 years, I just don't want to see that momentum drop.
I appreciate that. Yeah.
Agreed.
I tell people all the time, I've been working in the industry for 15 years and it's the most interesting project I've worked on. It's just we're not just designing something, we're planning something pretty challenging, but
You-
Yeah,
you-
round up, a whole new system.
You're taking nothing and making something out of it, literally.
yeah,
And it is something that a lot of town departments, the fire department would love it, the economic development people would love it, the homeowners that live in areas without underground cisterns or Hopedale's water hydrants would love it. And, it's a plus for everybody. We just got to bring it to them in some kind of finished form to make an informed decision. And just so you know, this town, back in the days of Lyndon Johnson's presidency, when sewer systems were 85% funded by the feds and 10% funded by the state, and the town had to do the remaining 5, and something like a 13-8 vote turned down sewers because they didn't want the town to grow.
Yeah. Yeah.
And guess what? It grew anyway.
Yeah.
So, at least this time we'll be able to talk to people who get it.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Anyway, guys.
thank you folks for your time.
Yeah,
Thank you,
we appreciate
guys.
the input.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
Thanks
Okay.
a lot.
thank you.
Have a good night.
You
You
too.
too.
Okay.
Pretty much you dispatched. Okay.
That was a very good discussion.
We can have, okay, Dan, on your 8:14 minutes, they sort of end midway, it says page 2 of 5, there's no adjournment, there's no anything, so we don't have a complete set of minutes for August 14th.
So I don't know what that is, because the document I have.
Click on the back page.
No,
Hang on, let me look.
and I looked at what you forwarded, I looked what he
To be
originally
honest with you,
sent.
I didn't read the body.
I
You
did.
8-2,
Yeah.
it should end with Commissioner Roy made a motion to approve the basement for 6 Edwards.
Yeah.
That's the end date.
Oh,
So I don't know,
we're-
that's it, I don't know what the page number must have been screwed up then.
Okay, I got it,
It's just 2 pages.
because I know he usually has eaten dinner, when we end, I'll give you my edits.
Oh, I'm good, I don't have to get out of here right now.
Well, I had this edit, so if you want to.
Okay, let me just give you, if you could pull up his edits.
Here, it take 2 seconds.
Okay, August 14th, go to the second page,
Yeah, here, it's on the thing, but yeah,
first sentence,
yeah,
okay? Woodward and Curran, it should be Curran, C-U-R-R-A-N. Now, bottom of the next paragraph, it says before water can sign, it should be before we can sign.
Is that the PDF you had there?
this is your edits. This
Okay,
is
so
what you said,
it's
I have
not-
your comments already.
That's the word version, yeah.
And that's it. Can you make a motion to approve with those changes?
I move to approve the minutes of August 14, 2025.
Roll call vote, aye and aye.
Aye, Roy, aye.
Hang on, let me just save these before we go too far, so I don't lose
Okay.
this.
Okay, now we got.
We did not have 10:25 minutes.
We didn't meet, there's no quorum for that
And there
one.
was another,
So that was when you and I noodled around for an hour. Okay,
August 4th, I think.
So
December 4th.
12-4 is the other one,
December 4th, Dan's copy.
so hang on, let me pull up.
Okay, Jim's copy.
Yeah, my edits, yeah. Yeah, but you went to the body, I just made.
So this
edits to
one.
The motions.
Okay, page 2,
Yep.
third paragraph up from the bottom. Hang on, it begins, the commission also discussed drafting.
One on page, hang on, start over. Page 2.
2, paragraph begins, the commission also discussed drafting a standard letter.
Oh, it's this, yep.
Okay,
Commercial.
he said for commercial property owners, it's for property owners on Cape Road, not commercial. Because this is telling them what happens if they go to commercial. So just property,
Good catch.
go to the next paragraph.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You say there are no updated on the mover, no updates, S instead of D,
Usually Word picks that up, interesting.
and that's it.
Yeah, and then we have Vince changes, which is just correct.
And been changed,
I move to approve the minutes of December 4th,
yes, with changes
as amended,
by both of us.
by Commissioners Roy and Kevin.
Second roll call vote,
Aye.
aye, aye. Okay, now I have your, that's done, annual town report, we need to approve, and I have a quick edit.
All right, let me.
Actually, I had two, three quick edits. They're very minor, they're nitpicks.
Okay. You want to
Okay.
call them out?
Last paragraph on that page,
Yep,
contract updates. I'd like to add a sentence after the 10,000 connection fee that just says the two property owners will pay the connection fee. Otherwise, it looks like we're paying it. To be paid by the two property owners. That's fine. Next page, first paragraph,
Financial update?
last sentence where it says profits,
yep,
surplus instead of profits. We don't make money, we're putting it away.
Surplus, yeah.
Okay, water meter replacement project paragraph.
Surplus already, so, okay, that's fine. And
Water meter, the last paragraph that says water meter replacement
Yeah.
project. You said replacements have been slow going due to limited staffing. I'd like to add, and the COVID-19 pandemic. Okay, next page.
Yeah, I'll fix it later.
No, I can wait.
Keep it on one page, yeah.
Okay, see the asterisk you have in the word Hopedale in that chart?
Yeah, oh, that was,
That needs to go
because I
away.
meant to do something and then I decided not to.
And that's it on that
Because I don't
document.
know if this, I was gonna comment and I figured, so you notice the corners are weird?
Yes, but
That's
that's,
how we've been paying, just because
I
it's
know.
so much easier with the timing,
I'll move to.
But it is
the document.
intentional.
it's the annual report.
That's the annual report.
I move to approve the annual report as amended by Commissioner Kevin.
Okay, I second. Roll call, aye, aye.
Aye.
Okay, the other document you had was the budget narrative, and those are grammatical accounts.
Yeah, that was just what I sent to Jeremy, so I didn't
I
just.
don't really care, because it's not
It was
public.
full of-
And have you had a chance to review the two budget pages?
No.
Give me a second, I'll
Give
put
us
that
a
up.
Those are the income,
I'm assuming you have the formulas built in, I know the double check any math.
Yeah,
Okay, good.
hang on, I'm frozen, so I don't know if that'll load, but it was a bigger one
Yeah.
that I sent him.
Well,
I Kevin printed it.
I don't care,
I don't know why. Why is this frozen? What the heck?
because it can.
Just tried this a couple times. Alright, let me try and kill this and reopen it.
I'm just trying to blast through these so we can get out of here.
I didn't say, like, I'm big with formatting crap like these, because I do this all the time.
Yeah, so that's an internal document too.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I know this, he
Yeah.
needs to move the
No.
column over.
Yeah.
Which,
But I mean, in
That's minor
terms,
stuff, it should all be fit.
oh, yeah, that's,
in
You can
terms,
shrink down the font or you write
Something's
column.
wrong.
but in terms of numbers, are you okay with the numbers?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, motion?
Yeah. So I move to
Approve
approve the
budget.
budget for the FY 27 enterprise fund and the, yeah.
Yeah, fine.
I mean, it's minimal. The only thing that's a little bit, and I don't know how much I asked for, it's on the general fund side.
Yeah.
We definitely want to build up a buffer. We've been kicked a few times with
Right,
things
and you
going
know-
wrong, and I
and you
added a
know-
little bit.
And you noted that in the text,
Yeah.
and it's in there, so I
Um,
don't have a problem with the numbers.
So, all right, I'll make the motion again. I move to approve the FY 27 enterprise budget and general fund budget, yes.
Second, roll call vote, aye, aye. Okay,
Yes.
that cleans up B, old business, we don't, do we have an easement to sign for 23 Cape
So-
Road?
That I think is the easement. It's an easy one, I mean, so we have a final, I emailed out the draft, this is the easement for 23 Cape Road for the relocation of the
Mr.
water
Goddamn
mains.
lawyer finally approved this,
We got it back from our town council.
fine, let's sign,
So what needs to happen, this has to be notarized.
yes.
So my suggestion is that the commission vote to authorize the chair to sign, and then I can go do it with Ellen or Sherry. Actually, you guys have your meeting.
We're meeting Monday night.
Yeah, so let me leave it with Sherry, and then if she doesn't mind, if she can notarize it,
No, or give it to me and I'll work on it.
that'd be amazing. Well, I'll fill in all the little, like the dates and stuff.
So-
Take the vote.
Can we have a motion to let the chairman sign the easement for 23 Cape Road
I move to authorize the chairman to sign
and get notarized? The
uh,
easement for 23 Cape Road.
to authorize the clerk, the
The chairman,
chairman,
to sign the easement for
sign the easement
23
for
Cape Road
23 Cape
and get it
Road,
notarized.
and to get it notarized.
Second,
Aye.
done, just give it to me and
Yeah, I
I'll,
mean, I wanna make sure this is, because
because she's not in tomorrow anyway,
Yeah.
so.
Just has the dates on it.
Do we need to sign 2 copies or just 1?
Yeah, probably should do 2.
Okay.
I'll print it.
Do you want to give it to her on Monday?
Yeah, I'll be in Monday, so I'll make a note to do that.
Okay, let me just make myself a note that's Monday with Sherry, because we're meeting at 5:30,
Yeah,
the assessors. Okay, discuss an MOU for Hopedale contract supply of water. Anything new on that?
so this one, I think we do need to talk about. So this is, the intent is to now put something in writing that memorializes what we talked about. And then Tim said, send it to them, they'll sign it. So the agreement with the 2 connections and the connection fee and the 10,000.
Is there anything wrong
I
with
thought there was already an agreement that we had, I don't
We
care.
never put it in
that?
writing.
Yeah, we never put it in writing, it was all a verbal agreement.
So but they voted on it, they voted on December 2024.
So there is something,
It's just,
they had to have something ready to vote on.
they voted on a request,
They voted on, Tim made the request, they voted on it,
Okay,
We approved it, we never put it in writing.
okay,
Because the other thing this includes is a provision that says something to the effect of that the parties agree to draft and sign an update to the contract in the next 6 months, because the contract expired in 2023 and needs to be
Okay.
redone. However,
Yes,
there's a complication,
which is,
so this MOA, as drafted, says Hopedale will allow the change in use and permit a commercial water connection for these two lots, 143, 145, and 35, period.
yes,
Hopedale's vote says Commissioner Moore made a motion to change lots 143, 147 Hartford Ave and 35 Cape from residential to commercial and increase the costs. No conditions such.
fine. Then what's the
However, the developer is asking for more clarity on exactly what is or isn't permitted. And from all our conversations with Tim, we had all talked about a gas station or a bank.
That's it.
Sounds like the gas station is now maybe not gonna happen.
Well, that's what we approached Hopedale with those two uses.
So I emailed Tim
Yes,
and said, Tim, I wanna circle back, does Hopedale have any concern about the type of commercial use, or are they fine with commercial use? And he says, Dan, I believe the board would be amenable to any commercial use that does not include water for anything other than domestic or fire.
wow.
Jeremy says he's concerned that the
Another
restrictions based on
restaurant there?
use versus volume. I'm wondering if we, at one point we had talked about having a number.
I say send it to them and let them react to it.
So as written.
Yeah.
That's really the
So
question.
it's kind of open-ended now.
Well, that's the thing, and I think, if this developer goes and says, I wanna put in, a
I wanna put
water
a
park, I don't think Hopedale's gonna be happy about that.
Yeah,
Well,
but
first
you
of
could do
all,
a small restaurant there.
Well, right, and I don't know what domestic use is.
domestic
To
use,
me, that's like a bathroom,
washing your hands, flushing the
That's
toilet,
it, doing this shit.
and fire protection.
not a car wash, not a restaurant.
Domestic means household, it does not mean business.
And that's kind of been so like the thing in 35 Cape is gonna be a warehouse, but the water use is like bathrooms and hand washing, it's not
Let me put it this way,
Industrial.
if the gas station were there, the use would be
trivial.
probably a sink to wash out the coffee pot, because they'll sell coffee,
And that's it, that's,
and
Yeah,
a bathroom,
yeah,
not a car wash, not anything.
no.
Okay, I say send it to them like that, let them change it and ship it back.
so if they have a concern, alright, so in that case, I have this document. We need to plug in a date, and then this one, I believe. we can-
Now, it's gonna be signed by both boards.
This should be signed by both, and I don't know, I probably can't even copy it here, do we need 2 copies? Probably.
Well, yeah, we should have originals.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
they retain one and we
Do
retain.
you have an issue signing? I don't.
I don't either.
this one has a spot for all 3 boards to sign. so-
No, actually, I like.
All right, well, we have 2 signed, that's it.
Yeah, let me make a copy, I didn't think of that.
Hey, so you talked to, you talked to Ellen?
Okay. Do you know how we found out she died? Ellen got the death certificate.
Yeah,
It was in December.
it's awful.
I sent the card to
And
the
so
house.
she must have died right after we just last met.
I sent the card to the house that said, Alan, thinking of you, I'll miss Pat too.
Yeah,
You know,
I didn't know his wife, but.
I worked with her on the
Yeah.
council on aging.
Oh, so you know her? Yeah,
Yeah.
She must, I'm sure she's a nice lady, because he's a nice man.
What the obituary that Ellen found said, they were both into science fiction and they go to these conferences. It said there was gonna be a celebration of her life at some conference in Boston, like 6 months from now,
Oh,
where people knew her.
yeah, yeah.
And then,
Did they have kids?
No.
No,
no, they married as, I think they were both previously married. They met as adults.
yeah, okay.
See, I actually knew him. He was one of the genius engineers digitally years ago.
Okay.
But he's been gone out of there 20 years. Well, digital went away in the late 90s.
Jack, I remember they
So, you know-
employed over 100,000 people. Right.
Yeah, it was a trouble.
Huge, absolutely huge, yeah. You worked there too?
Yeah.
Which one?
I worked in the headquarters in the mill, and I worked in Boxborough, and I worked
Okay.
in Marlboro.
Yeah,
I was actually
big
a
facility in Northborough.
I was a full-time consultant for 3 years, on a special project. Oh, I made it.
Oh, yeah.
Well, it was funny when they killed all the consultants. I said, excuse me, you got any where to go, you gave me business, card, he gets the phone number, I get 7, I have 1. I got 3 months, 7, that's 1 year for every year.
Wow.
So, yeah, so this just says the 2 connections, the $10,000 fee, updating the language for the hydrant fees, and then the final provision is that we need to update the.
Okay.
Motion,
Now, on the back, there's a spot for everyone to sign.
okay.
I moved to sign the agreement, with Hopedale.
Second. Aye.
I.
Let's both, we'll both sign both copies.
Child amended radio.
Well, I didn't put a date in the top, it doesn't matter.
You can put it in.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say, there should be some kind of date when it's signed.
Yeah,
Oh, actually, the date's gonna go right.
the date's at the top.
Okay, so it's all.
You want me to put the date
Need a
in,
blue pen or doesn't matter?
Yeah.
in that copy?
Here's the.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Do you want me to put the date in?
Yeah, if you want.
This is the
5th of
5th day.
February 2026.
Of 2025, it's 2026.
I have done so many meetings that I've uploaded and put the wrong date, and then I go back and change them.
All
change.
25.
25, I go back and change 26.
This is 5th day of
Okay, we made a change.
February 2026, the day next to
Yes,
that.
you probably should be really a doctor.
Yeah, my handwriting qualifies me to be doctor. I have a sister.
You came from a school where they had penmanship back in the day. Kids today can't write the crap.
Okay, 8 any update on 8 Did
Nothing, because then the snow happened. So I actually have another project I need to talk about.
Where are you gonna talk to? What-
Sean.
Sean.
I've been texting him, I don't think he's gone and looked at it yet, but then the snow
And
happened.
Paul Browse is missing in
It's
action.
under, so.
I've left him 3 phone messages saying, do you wanna do
Well,
what?
this is a little job, so I think if this is the stuff he's interested in doing, that would be perfect.
10K
Um,
discussion on leak abatement.
This was the previous discussion with, and I think,
Did we approve that?
no, this is the gentleman on Cape Road, that the meter was flagging reverse. Then we went and fixed it, but then
I remember
he had a
this
huge
discussion.
bill.
Oh,
It
he
looks
had-
like the amount of water maybe was more than
He had a
right at the limit of what the meter can flow. He had a huge, like, $4,000.
So what do we do with it?
And he
The
said,
last-
he says there were no leaks, he said at
The
one
last
point,
discussion in the minutes was he had approved he had a leak.
yeah, and whether we wanted to come to a meeting, and then we had to go to recurrence, so we didn't need to be here all night, but if we want to meet with him, if he wants the
Let's bring
abatement.
him to the March meeting.
I think we, yeah, we definitely try and talk.
This- that was the
I mean, I don't know, he says there was no signs of a leak. He had a minor issue that, like a hose blew, it wasn't that amount of water, but the meter was recording, like, at the maximum what the meter can flow, which seems strange too.
All right, that would be, if we stick to our schedule, that would be March 5th.
And there was a period where the.
Nancy Jenkins.
That was her name.
You know why? That's my birthday, that's her birthday, she showed up. You want to bring him to the March 5th meeting? And March 5th would be the meeting.
Yeah. I'd like to get, I'd like to see a printout.
Yeah, I can
Give me data log.
Yeah, I can send you this report,
Yeah, I want to see the meter report.
you know, if I.
I'm kind of suspecting he took the meter and flipped it.
No, the flip meter's been an issue, it wasn't his fault.
All right, well, let's invite him in.
I can tell you, that's been going on for a while. I
Okay.
can-
If you could
Okay.
give him the report and let's invite the guy in. You know, I just,
Yeah.
this sounds kind of weird.
It does.
This is not
I'm
like,
invited.
I had a leak and it ran over
Yeah,
and
no.
we abated. This is, have the guy in and then we kick him out and then we talk amongst
I think he may have had a leak, maybe fixed it, or maybe, it sounds like somebody flipped the meter.
It
off,
was
but you're saying,
30
no.
gallons a minute, rough average.
How many?
30 gallons a minute for
The meter's probably rated for
a
25.
lot of time. And
What
that's,
is
that's
Have we
What
given
size
him a
meter is
meter?
it, 3/4 meter or
5/8.
Have we given him a
5/8
meter?
by
Yeah.
3/4?
Well, so then the meter was still throwing weird flags after we flipped it over, so like we completely replaced everything.
So he's got a brand new meter.
The register, yeah,
And is it still going weird?
no, it appears to be recording normally now.
Well, it's either a faulty
I
meter.
mean, I haven't read the most
They don't
recent
do
bills.
it. They don't.
Let me just,
Yeah, I don't know, it doesn't make
I
sense.
speak off the top of my head.
No, but I don't,
Reality.
I know how does he work?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'd still like to talk to the guy because this is weird.
Well, I'll talk to him and have him, we can have him come in May. We can
This is not like somebody in Bay Street came in and said, I had a leak for 3 months and didn't realize it, we abate the excess fees.
Paying a guy like this, $15,000 water bill. And so he came and he said it was the meter, and then we had a rail trail project that went to his neighbor, he said, oh, it's from the Virovax. I said, every one of your neighbors would have the same issue, you're dealing with it.
I think he had a problem, and he, big Sudbury, he had a multi-million-dollar house.
Oh, they're
I
the
think it
worst.
was irrigation system he had, it failed, I think that's what it was, and he had a big meter there too. So anyways, the commissioners gave him a $10,000 break. So $10,000, and I was opposed, I'm like, you guys are out of your mind. But they did that.
Yeah.
The guy turned around, still turned, and he wanted the whole thing abated. He turned around and just took us to the small claims court. Because he wanted the whole thing abated. And I'm like,
You can't.
and then the commissioner's like, is it too late to reverse? I'm like, you guys said there was
You
a
can't
motion.
take you to small claims court for that. You could take him.
Yeah, no shit. So we went before the magistrate.
Yeah.
And the judge dismissed it out of court.
Good.
Yeah. But I didn't even have a chance to speak. I wanted to,
We-
I wanted to rip this.
We had a guy who wanted a,
We bent over backwards for this guy.
we had a guy who we gave an abatement last year on his taxes.
Yeah.
Our software, which is falling apart, we're replacing, didn't roll over any of the abatements into fiscal 26.
Yeah.
So we manually corrected his bill, but land values went up by 20% across the board. So what we did,
Oh, that's a big jump.
hadn't been done in 6 years.
Yeah.
So what we did
Yeah.
is I upped his land value by 20% and we abated the bill down to that.
Yeah. That's fair.
He's appealing us to the state appellate tax board with that 20%.
God, dude, you're gonna lose.
He's gonna lose.
It's gonna look like an idiot. Yeah, this guy looks like an idiot.
Well, today I spit out 6,500 parcels, what the just the land increase on all of them is,
Yeah.
what the average was, what the median. 20% is the average. They go as high as 26 and down to 19%.
Yeah.
And it's fair.
Yeah.
So I already filed a document with the appellate tax board asking him to dismiss the case on the grounds that there's nothing to discuss. Here's the land value. And of course, he gets the documents that said, yes, our software moved. Here's what it would be going straight forward. The average land increase was 20%. That's what we gave him. And as far as working.
And he's not providing anything.
He's providing nothing.
Nothing. He's just going, his word. I got a score.
Anyway.
The same thing happened to me, this guy.
So we're gonna invite the guy in and he's gonna give you a
Yeah.
printout.
Yeah.
We already signed the third quarter bills, correct? In that
So
pile?
no, there aren't no third quarter bills
Oh,
yet
you need to sign that pile of stuff.
because
Yeah.
I went to do them before the snowstorm
And
and then the software was all screwed up because of course it was, and then it snowed, and then I had to deal with all this bunch of stuff. So I'm hopefully gonna read them either tomorrow or early next week and get the bills out. So
Okay.
a little off, but
so we'll have the commitment at our March
we'll have
meeting.
it the next thing. In terms of the March meeting though,
You don't wanna do the fifth?
so I probably have a conflict on the 5th and the 12th
Oh my God.
and the 26th, and so I think,
So we're going to April.
or if we look at a different day, of the week,
Fourth?
I tentatively can do the 19th. I can never do Wednesdays.
What?
Thursday, the 19th of March? But then we're meeting in 2 weeks after that.
Yeah, I probably have a conflict then, so I don't know if we want to try earlier in the week or wait and see. I mean, I think we're gonna meet with this gentleman. There shouldn't be too much else going on, but then, something.
I can meet any day except for Tuesday, because those are my days.
I can do
March 5th.
I can do Wednesday, the 11th, Wednesday, the 18th,
Month.
Thursday, the 19th. I can do the 25th, I can do the 26th.
I think,
I'm on my phone, but
Pick
I'll make
a
it,
meeting date.
yeah.
Just-
Any one of Kevin's days.
Pick it, and
yeah,
if you can do the 19th, just tell us, send out an email going, the next meeting's the 19th.
Yeah.
all right, let me follow up with you, because I think I need to find out, I have one other gig that I need to confirm that's sometime in Midway or March.
I will tell you though, I'm trying to take a week off, and it will I was gonna do the week of the 22nd, because I have nothing that week, and so if you don't do it on the 26th, that would be good, because we're actually booking the week, this weekend.
I got something coming up in March too. I don't want to go, but I have to go.
We're going to Turks and Caicos.
Oh, I'd much rather go. We're going to Disney World. Yeah.
They just opened a brand new beaches resort in Turks and Caicos, and during the month of March, it's one fee per bed per night and everything's included,
I've
meals,
heard, yeah, it's like,
everything.
I've heard nothing but great things about Jersey.
I just had a friend who went.
Yeah, I've
He's in the
heard,
tourism business. They invited him down so he could promote it.
yeah.
And,
What do you pay for the shrimp? All inclusive?
well, not counting airfare, it's $4.98 a night. And that includes the room, all meals, all drinks, everything while you're there.
Yeah.
So all we gotta do is do airfare.
Yeah,
And then we reserve it for a week and we give them the credit card.
yeah.
So we're talking 5 nights, so $2,500.
Yeah, per person, so $5 for the two of you. Right?
No, it's per person per room, so it's
Yeah,
$2,500 per person.
Yeah.
So it's
you're probably
$5
gonna
for
pay
the week.
another $500, gonna be another $1,000 to fly, should be.
Yeah, but I
Probably
mean,
direct flight.
I look at it, look, I haven't had a real vacation in 3 years.
Yeah. You-
Right now,
Well deserved.
I want someplace, what I said to Miriam is I want someplace warm where I can sit under an umbrella, but I'm in the sun.
Yeah.
When I want something alcoholic, it just appears.
I
and
was
you
gonna
pay
say
to
right
fill
there,
it.
yeah.
And I don't care if I do nothing but turn my work email off,
Turn the phone off, so yeah.
turn the phone off, and I don't care if I do nothing all day long.
I gotta make a motion to,
Motion to adjourn.
move to adjourn.
Second, roll call vote, aye. We adjourned at 8:26.
Yeah, good.
People